Give me a minute, and let's talk about the Ukrainian GRU taking credit for the Chinese train tunnel explosion that damaged the tunnel, the rail system, and a bunch of train cars, and is a major route for supplies coming from China and North Korea. And there's no doubt. So in last night's live, I had a real busy day yesterday. I had missed this story completely. In last night's live, a bunch of people told me about this. And I made a point of this morning getting up and looking at it. And there's no doubt this is a significant blow to Chinese logistics. To Russian logistics and their dependency on China and North Korea. No doubt about it. Only in listening to a lot of pundits and commentators today, they were saying that this would cut off the Chinese supplies, that they wouldn't be able to get through. And that didn't make much sense to me because, as you can see from this map, there's multiple paths into Russia from China. Now, it's true, they're way out of the way. Most of the ones in the east converge through that tunnel. So it is a choke point, and it makes a difference. But there's still another route, right? It's not as though this is going to cut off everything coming from China by rail. However, it really does cut off the supplies coming from North Korea because all the rail lines from the east, from North Korea into into Russia, do go through that tunnel. So it really does squeeze the North Korean supply, and that's where the weapons are coming from. So that's a good point. An even better point would be that today the Ukrainians hit another section of the rail line. On an alternate route, a potential alternate route for some of this stuff, bang, they hit it again. Now, how they are doing this, 4,000 miles from the Ukrainian border, is who knows? We don't know. They're very close to the Mongolian border here. They're not far from the Russian Republic of Tuva, which is a republic with an active independence movement. The people in Tuva, it's a small area, only about 250,000 people. But if you were a Tuvan, you were 8 times more likely to be drafted into Putin's war than if you lived in Moscow. Moscow, there's 13 million people, something like that, right? Tuva, there's 250,000, and you're 8 times as likely to be drafted. Ridiculous. So the Tuvans have suffered under this war. Could there be anti-Russian partisans working with the Ukrainians in Tuva? God, I hope so. Because that would mean that Ukraine is going to be ready to support a Tuvan independence movement when this war is over. And that's going to be one of the dominoes that we see as the Russian Federation collapses, just like the USSR did. And look, there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. We're not doing it to Russia. Russia is doing it to itself through its policy failures, through its ruthless exercise of power in its own interest, rather than having any care, consideration for its own people, who it keeps impoverished as vassals to Moscow. And they're tired of it. They're all quite tired of it. Now, and with Russia demilitarizing itself the way that it is, there's an opportunity. Now, look, I don't know that the Tuvans are involved. It's pure speculation. I want to be clear about that. What other options might it be? Could be that the Ukrainians are going into Mongolia. This is close to the Mongol border. And maybe they're doing cross-border transactions with or without the knowledge of the Russians and planting these bombs. It looks as though bombs were planted on the tracks for this second explosion. I have a still of that. You can see there's fuel cars up there. They've spilled their fuel out. It's burning. We don't know what else was on this train, but likely it's military materials, right? War material. The problem here, the concern that I have is that rail lines are remarkably simple to repair. And so there's every possibility that the Russians will get the rail lines repaired in short order and the trains will be running again. Now, if the tunnel is unsafe, that's a different story. That could take a long time to fix. But for right now, there's no North Korean shells getting to Krasnodar. There's no Chinese dual-use electronics coming in on the trains through the Baikal Tunnel. None of that is happening. Nice hit, I'll tell you. I want to thank Bobby, who's the sponsor of this video. Thanks, Bobby. We appreciate you. Have a great day, everybody.